Podcast, your source for offbeat news.
Marauding monkeys bring fear to historic Indian tourist haven. These monkeys have gotten aggressive. Anytime you hold a package in their hand, they'll come up and they'll snatch it from you. Like gang members. Like, take your chain.
Oh my God.
Hot takes on sports.
Drew Brees is a legend. How dare you?
He is, but he's done.
No, he's not. You pardoned him. He's coming back.
He wants to pardon Drew Brees. I want to throw him in prison.
And deep dives into the paranormal.
The Loveland Frogman. At approximately 3:30 a.m., an unnamed businessman, the most credible witness maybe you can find.
Unnamed businessman.
I was just doing business when I saw a frogman.
Join us every Monday and let's talk some bullshit. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all your favorite podcasting apps.
They have come to the world's most isolated jungle to explore the unknown Amazon.
You ready?
I think so.
And conduct scientific research to prove the existence of a long-lost tribe.
Shirishama worship giant snakes, anacondas as gods, protectors.
What is this?
Anaconda skin.
Is snakes out there this big?
This skin is 3 or 4 years old. Whatever shed it has grown since then.
Snakes don't eat people.
Oh, they don't?
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
How do?
This week, we'll be discussing the horror classic, Anaconda, starring Jennifer Lopez. Go ahead, sing your song.
My anaconda don't want none unless you got bugs, hun.
Very good. It also stars Eric Stoltz, Owen Wilson, and offensive racial stereotype Jon Voight. So you have that to look forward to.
I couldn't even figure out what accent Jon Voight was supposed to have. And starring Eric Stoltz, I mean, that was just getting a paycheck. He basically took a nap after the first 15 minutes.
This is true. He had a bigger part in Back to the Future. So there you have it. Thank you. That's a deep cut.
I kind of wish he was mask Eric Stoltz. That could have added a new element.
It definitely would have added a new element. There's no question about that.
And did you think it was strange that Jennifer Lopez had no eyebrows through the entire production? They were going like a natural look, but it was very unnatural.
Well, there was this period of time where people were adopting what's called the Whoopi Goldberg, where for some reason you just don't have eyebrows. I don't know if it's a stylistic choice, alopecia. Who's to say?
So, like when she showed up on set, she went to hair and makeup and said, "Give me the Whoopi Goldberg."
She said,
but
she
only
said, "Give me
in
the
regards
Whoopi."
to my eyebrows.
That is correct. Well, you know, people in the know. You know what I'm saying? If you say, "Give me the Whoopi Goldberg," they know. So there you have it in the Hollywood circles. Give us your 30...
I had a boyfriend once that really didn't have eyebrows. They were there, but it was like super light, even though he had dark hair, but he wore glasses. So it was like weeks before I realized he had like no eyebrows. I mean, like I said, they were there, but then you look at him, you're like, something's missing from your face.
This is a terrifying story. I have to be honest with you. Give us the 30-second synopsis of Anaconda.
People in pre-COVID Brazil are doing some kind of, I don't know, what's the Vietnam movie?
What, Apocalypse Now?
Doing an apocalypse now, but in search of like wildlife, except there's like a giant CGI anaconda who's full of apparently multiple anacondas, and they're very angry. And they have a taste for humans, except for Jon Voight, because he had to like barf up Jon Voight at one point. And clearly, okay, let me finish my synopsis before I start getting sarcastic-y. You know, Eric Stoltz and J-Lo and Ice Cube all survive, whatever.
Spoiler alert.
It was not a nail biter. It was not a nail biter. Let me just put that. And it was just freakishly an all-star cast.
It was really a bizarrely all-star cast. No question. I mean,
why were all these people down for this?
Well, it was basically hitting people at just the right time. This was Jon Voight when he's just like, hey, I'm just trying to do anything for a paycheck. It's been a long time since Midnight Cowboy, essentially. J-Lo.
And before all his Angelina Jolie claims and his weirdness and
That's correct.
Someone help my daughter. Oh, and I'm a Trump supporter and a racist.
That's correct. Ice Cube was obviously primarily a rapper before this. So this was his way of kind of breaking into more movies. J-Lo, same thing.
So was this before like all his movies? Was this
he had done
Barbershop and Friday?
Yes.
Oh, it was.
Yes. He'd already done Boys in the Hood. So he was already kind of like, he had done like a movie.
I did Boys in the Hood, so then I jumped right into my Anaconda.
Don't want none.
Sir Mix-a-Lot reached out.
I'm giving everybody's bio.
You,
absolutely. J-Lo was primarily known as being one of the fly girls on In Living Color. And
I didn't know she was a fly girl. I thought that was like Paula Abdul.
Paula Abdul was the Laker Girls. She was a Laker girl and the choreographer for the Laker Girls before she was a singer. I don't know. I am a font of information here. Owen Wilson was not famous when he did this. He had been in things.
I'm not sure he's that famous right now.
Oh, how dare you! National treasure, Owen Wilson.
National treasure.
He's a national treasure. Stoltz, on the other hand, was big. Like he was in Mask. He was in Some Kind of Wonderful. He was kind of hovering around kind of an indie star.
It's hard to be a ginger.
It's hard, no question. So it was just kind of a perfect storm, if you will, of these kind of characters rolling in there. So good times. Now, when had you even heard of this movie? When I suggested we watch it?
No. I remember seeing ads for this. This got a lot of advertisement. They had a budget for this. So it was around, Anaconda, snakes on a plane. This was all the land of ridiculousness with too much money. And they're like, boy, I got Ice Cube. I got J-Lo. I got Eric Stoltz. We're going to make money. Let's throw millions of dollars at an ad campaign.
No, well, this was a big studio production.
It was.
It was in like some low budget.
The latest and greatest CGI.
Well, and there's a blink and you'll miss it cameo by a youngish Danny Trejo, if you're paying attention.
Oh, it did. He was extra. I even wrote down sweaty Danny. It looks like he was sweating Vaseline at the very beginning and he blows his brains out. Thank you, Danny.
We love Danny Trejo on this show.
We love Danny Trejo. Although I've never had Trejo's tacos. Have you had those?
No. Is that a thing?
Yeah. In LA, at the farmer's market, they have a whole Trejo's tacos. I think most people buy a taco and then spend $50 on merch.
That makes sense. He's from
good, though.
He's from LA. He's a local boy made good. So there you go. That's why we love him.
We love Machete.
Machete.
We love Robert Rodriguez films with Danny Trejo.
No question. I actually believe I saw this movie in the theater when it came out.
I believe you did too.
That doesn't.
I believe it.
Oh yeah.
I believe it, and it wasn't like a Tuesday discount. I believe it was full board. You got a 40-ounce soda and
easily,
whatever.
Easily. Large popcorn.
And we're excited to see it because I know you're a hardcore rapper too. So it was exciting for you to see Ice Cube.
Yes, I'm a hardcore rapper. I rap on the weekends. That is correct.
In between D&D tournaments.
It's true. They used to call me Cool KD. That was my name.
Cool KD.
That's what
you and what was your claim to fame? You went to the movies with LL Cool J, and he said, "Hey, bro, I'm gonna call you Cool LT."
We knew each other we walk in similar circles. So yeah. So there you have it. So let's jump right in with the WTF moments, or the highlights, as I like to call it. They make a point in the opening crawl.
First of all,
Go
I
ahead.
need to clarify
Please.
how many giant anacondas are there? It's just a whole stew of them?
In the world or like in the movie?
In this freaking movie, because at one point they shoot it in the head and chunks of meat and its eye fly out, and then
Yes.
5 minutes later there's another one who seems perfectly fine.
Yeah, the one they shoot is dead. So there's another anaconda.
There's just a stew of them.
Well,
And they're all pissed off.
they exist. This is a real animal that exists, in South America on the Amazon. They're semi-aquatic. They swim around and they attack people. I guess is how it rolls. Who's to say? There's a limitless number of anacondas is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, because traditionally, now I haven't had pet snakes, but I did know of people who did have big snakes.
Nobody
as
had
pets.
anacondas
Frankly,
as pets, though. Come on.
but there's a natural, like, biological sameness between them. Like, after a meal, they go off and digest, and they're good for like a week or two. They're not immediately like, John Voight tastes like a pickle, I'm gonna barf it up because I see J-Lo's booty.
Well, but this is a good question. In that opening crawl of the movie, they literally say that anacondas are alone in nature because they will kill you, then swallow you, then regurgitate you to enjoy killing you again, is what they say. I don't know how you kill somebody twice, but this is what this is the I don't know if this is true. Go ahead.
No, I thought it said not to kill you again, but if something disagrees. But that's not true, because I remember, like, my friend who had vipers was like, don't mess with them, don't pick them up, they just eat, otherwise they'll throw it back up. If they get distressed, they'll barf it up. So I'm wondering if they put that preface in because people previewed the movie and like don't understand why it's barfing up John Voight. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
so they're like, oh, maybe we better put an explanation at the beginning. That's what it smelled like to me.
Well, they didn't
it's
just
arbitrary and random at the beginning. Like there's a trigger warning about snake barf at the very beginning. So now a snake's going to have to barf.
Well,
so
yes.
I think they added that later.
It's a trick. Okay. It all goes hand in hand. Because it's not like, well, we have to have a barf scene.
Why would you go through the point of adding all this scroll by about snake barf unless, in fact, a snake is going to barf? This is not Wild Kingdom.
Right. But the reason why they have the snake barf scene is not like, ooh, something disagrees with me. John Voight's too racist for my stomach. It's more like...
His racist is bitter.
It's a bitter racism. It's more like these anacondas are so sinister and cruel that killing you once isn't enough. They want to go back for second killing, is the idea. It's not just... They have very sensitive stomachs. It wasn't that. Although that might be the case in real life. That's not... Good Lord. There's a lot of snake vomit conversation in this.
I did enjoy the snake's belly viewpoint.
Yes,
as he's swallowing John Voight.
The anaconda stomach POV shot. Yes, when you see John Voight literally like climbing the snake's mouth, essentially. Good times.
It was like the biggest sleeping bag. I mean, literally, you could have just laid in there and like stuck him with your fingernail, and then that would have been that.
No question. No question. It's funny because later when the aforementioned snake does throw up John Voight, he appears to wink at J-Lo. Like,
yes!
Which is weird. It's like, what are you doing? What's happening?
Oh, yeah. We already know he's like a lech. But there is no killing again. They're constrictors. So they've cut off your breathing. You're now dead. Then they swallow you.
Right.
It's not like the regurgitation is some kind of CPR that brings you back. Just so I can F with you again.
I think you're right. There's no question we could have done without the snake regurgitation scene.
But then you wouldn't have John Voight winking at J-Lo's ash.
Okay, we need to talk about this. The basic plot is J-Lo and Eric Stoltz and the gang, Ice Cube, are going down the Amazon to film a documentary about the people of the mist, the Shirishama, I believe they're called, like a secret tribe.
Not the Yanomano? Isn't that what we all had to study in college in cultural anthropology? The Yanomano.
It could be. Who's to say? So that's why they're doing this ostensibly. And on the way, they meet the stranded John Voight. His name is Paul Cerrone, and he says he's from Paraguay, I guess.
He has the weirdest "we don't need no stinking badges" accent. I cannot. I was like, where are you supposed to be from?
Right.
Because it doesn't sound Spanish. It doesn't sound French. I'm like, what is this? Because I watched 90 Day Fiancé, and there's all kinds of folks from that part of the world there. And none of them sounded like crazy, jacked up John Voight.
Well, number one, John Voight is clearly the whitest man in America. Number one, for openers. Number two, it's like if you listen to when first of all, he doesn't seem to speak anything other than English. Ever. English with a crazy offensive accent of indeterminate origin. Okay? Then he's talking to, we discover he's kind of in cahoots with because J-Lo and the gang rented like a houseboat to go down the river, essentially. So John Voight, the guy they pick up along the way, is clearly in cahoots with the captain of the ship, Mateo.
When you say a houseboat, I'm thinking about those boats from Lake Powell.
Yeah, pontoon boat.
The Amazon.
Yes. So if you listen to Mateo, who I believe is a Latin actor of some sort, he says stuff in like French. He says "merde" at one point. It's just like, what is happening? What are these languages? Is it just kind of a mishmash of any kind of language you want? I mean, what is happening? I'm offended.
Quite frankly, he sounded like one of the weird uncles from the Big Easy. I'm like, hey, Cher.
Basically.
So he's like a Peruvian, Brazilian Cajun? Is that what it is?
It is ridiculous. It is literally offensive. It offends my delicate sensibilities. Cancel him. We should have known what was coming based upon this performance alone. No question.
No question.
Good Lord. So he is there basically to catch a live anaconda because he can sell it to a zoo or something for $1 million. Something.
Yeah, why don't you just buy a small anaconda that you can put in your purse?
Right.
How are you going to put this giant thing? Because I even wrote down, you're going to need a bigger boat.
This is true. Well, and I mean, literally, I think somebody actually wrote that in comments somewhere where it was just literally like, just grab some baby snakes and wait. You know what I mean? You don't need to go. We have to wait till it gets to be 60 feet long and then try to get it.
It has to be able to kill 90 people. It's the King Kong syndrome. Why not buy baby Kong, still baby Kong? Why does it have to be 90-foot Kong?
Oh, exactly.
It's like a koi fish. Why spend $700 when you can just go to the pet store for 15 cents?
Well, what's the lifespan?
Patience.
What is the lifespan?
1,000 years.
Clearly, right? Is this like a Galapagos turtle? It could just live
it's
till...
like a Galapagos curdle.
Or a curdle. I've heard it both ways. So, never look in the eyes of those you kill. They will haunt you forever. I know.
And I mean, how many ways the other thing is, how many ways do snakes kill? They're trying to make the snake be Jason.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna like twist this dude's head off like a tube of toothpaste.
Yes.
That's not how snakes kill.
No.
I'm gonna like pull this dude's arm off like it's string cheese.
They don't do that. There are two types of snakes in the wild. There are vipers, which are poisonous and have fangs, and they stick you with the fangs and then submit the poison, right? Then you have constrictors. Who have fangs, but they aren't poisonous. They just wrap you up.
Their teeth are to pull you in.
Right.
Yeah.
They squeeze you and crunch you and then swallow you whole. I mean, I guess they both swallow you whole, but one poisons you and one squishes you.
They're not popping you like a grape. It's basically as you exhale and your lungs collapse or your chest collapse, they tighten up so you can't expand. It's like when you try to climb down a chimney and get stuck. you're screwed.
You're screwed.
Every time you exhale, you slide a little further, it gets a little tighter. Now your ribs can't move. You suffocate is what's happening.
That is correct. Well, there's a line in the movie where J-Lo turns to John Voight and says, "Snakes don't eat people." And Paul Cerrone, John Voight responds,
"People eat people."
He says, that's exactly what he said. Snakes don't eat people. People eat people. No, he goes, "Oh, they don't?" And kind of points at the scar on his face with his crazy. So what? He got nibbled on the face and lived to tell the tale? Who's to say? John Voight.
They barfed it back up.
Right. For the rest of this episode, I'm going to be doing my offensive John Voight impression over and over and over. So buckle up.
Just double down on Dennis Quaid and Big Easy and throw like some Spanish in there.
Well, I often say
Portuguese. I guess it would be Portuguese. They're in like Brazil or something.
Are they in Brazil? I don't know where the hell they are. Maybe they're. Who's to say? Who's to say?
They're in Toluca Lake.
They pick up. They're in Toluca Lake. They pick up John Voight, and it is clear this is the villain of the movie. This is like from Jump Street. Literally, they pull him on board because his boat, is sinking or whatever. And from there on, every time J-Lo looks at him, she catches him like leering at her with like a scary old like.
The way John Voight does.
Maybe that's just his resting face. Who's to say?
It's his resting rape face.
It is. Owen Wilson works as like the sound engineer of the documentary. And at one point, he and the production manager, Kari Wuhrer, who you might remember from Remote Control on MTV, they go off into the woods to collect.
Control.
That was a great show, by the way. They go into the woods to record, ostensibly to record jungle sounds, is what they say. But really, it's to go have sex in the jungle. That's really what they start to get down to, which seems like a horrendous idea. In the middle of the night, on the Amazon River, they get off the boat to go bone down. And Owen Wilson literally says, "Is it just me? Or does the jungle make you like really, really horny?"
Yeah,
no,
hot, sweaty.
It's you.
Things biting and eating you. I'm always so interested that their beds have mosquito tenting all around them. And yet they're just sitting outside like it's a cool breeze at the beach.
Right.
Literally, they should all be hospitalized with like dengue fever or Ebola or something.
One of the fevers, no question.
One of the fevers. Parasites are crawling through their brains.
I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
More cowbell. I would literally be hiding behind the netting, just spraying so much DEET on me that it would alter my DNA for generations.
That's correct. No question. DDT. So Paul Cerrone is allegedly now guiding them to the secret tribal area of the Shirashama. But Eric Stoltz, who is like he's the professor who's also the producer on the show, knows a lot about the Shirashama and is just like, calls bullshit. He's like, "You're kind of leading us in the wrong direction." So of course, John Voight has to get rid of Eric Stoltz. He puts like a wasp or something in his scuba tank.
Okay, first of all, the wasp is the size of your fist.
Yes.
And you don't put it in your tank. How do you
maybe it wasn't the tank, maybe it was the mouthpiece.
And either way, you look at your mouthpiece before you test these things before you get in the water. Hey, there's a wasp the size of my fist, but I'll just cram that down there anyway. And he's in the water for 20 minutes before he actually gets stung.
Yes, that's correct. So the wasp stings him.
Daddy-o. It was ding
right,
dong,
and so now his throat has swollen up, so he can't breathe. But John Voight rescues him, like does a little tracheotomy so he can breathe. But he's incapacitated and has to sit in his room for the rest of the voyage.
If he wanted
I guess
to get
there's
rid
a
of
reason
him,
why. Right. That was a question I was asking. Why did he save him if he's trying to get rid of him? But I think it was something like if he would have died, then they would have been like, we have to turn the boat around and go back. But just him being horribly injured is not enough of a reason, I guess. So John Voight seduces Owen Wilson into his evil plot because he tells him how much money they can get if they get the Anaconda. So Owen Wilson's like, even though people are dying around him, he's like, cool, I'm in. What's your problem, guys? Why aren't you on board too? But of course, he quickly meets
that
his
was
demise.
weird. Yeah. That was weird. And did you notice at one point in this movie, like the waterfall was running backwards? Like after they tranquilized the snake, which did nothing, all of a sudden I'm like, waterfall is running backwards now? Okay.
Right. Evidently it's so low budget that they're like, okay, we're moving the boat in, and now we can't just throw the boat in reverse. We're just going to use footage that we've already shot and just run it backwards to show the boat going a different direction. Good times.
Exactly.
Sweet Jesus. No, they try to catch the Anaconda by taking like a monkey and putting it like on a fish hook or something. And the snake literally spits the monkey back at them.
Because snakes don't eat dead things. They're not scavengers.
And you'd think...
So like if you've ever had a pet snake...
Yeah.
You know, you got to, some people use frozen mice or whatever, but you literally have to dangle them like they're alive to get the snake to eat them because they're not scavengers.
Interesting.
Little known fact.
Owen Wilson gets eaten and swallowed alive. And you literally see the outline of Owen Wilson's body on the side of the snake.
That was funny.
That's as tight as a drum.
Just the bump on his nose coming right through.
Poor Owen Wilson. And this was back when, like, there was probably a 5 or 6 year period, maybe even longer, where Owen Wilson was kind of cultivating like the surfer hair.
Yeah.
This was height of crazy surfer hair Owen Wilson.
I only think of him with that crazy hair.
Yeah, that's how we do. And it's got his crazy nose.
And his crazy nose. It looks like a penis.
But I have to say, go ahead.
That's the source of all his virility.
It is the source of his power. If I had to choose between Owen Wilson or Luke Wilson, I would take Owen Wilson any day of the week.
Oh, no. I like Luke Wilson. You're wrong.
You are out of your damn mind. This is important. Luke Wilson is obviously a good-looking guy. He's better looking than Owen Wilson. Owen Wilson is much more entertaining to watch. Luke Wilson needs to take an acting course.
Oh my God. Oh my
Boom.
God. You know, I love all the Wes Anderson films and they're in all of them. And you are just so wrong. I'm sad for you.
I'm sad for you.
They're both amazing in Tenenbaums.
Well, yeah, Luke Wilson's amazing because his character says 2 lines the entire movie.
Oh.
So there you go. Owen Wilson carries it. So eventually they tie up John Voight to a pole, right? Because they realize he's up to dastardly deeds. And Kari Wurr tries to, I guess, stab him with a knife or something because she's angry
it was weak.
And he does some crazy superhuman move because he's literally sitting crisscross applesauce, hands tied behind his back, tied to a pole. And he manages to leap up and grab her around the neck with his legs.
He's like old man ninja.
Old man
ninja.
And strangles her with his... It was like something Mel Gibson would do in the first Lethal Weapon movie. It was ridiculous.
Oh my God. Poor Mel Gibson. He was so pretty in the first Lethal Weapon before he went insane. Or before he shared his insanity with us all.
This is how it happens. You start by doing that crazy ninja move, and then you become a crazy anti-Semite. Just ask John Voight.
It's a direct line. It's a direct line.
That's right.
It can be measured and charted.
So, oh God. Later in the movie, they discover like a factory deep in the forest. Did you notice that? I thought
that's where they make the coca. Coca.
Clearly, but it's like I thought this was like desolation. Isn't this the middle of the darkest jungles of Peruvia or whatever? I mean, There's literally
It's Peruvia.
It's
That's
Peruvia.
where it is.
Where Paddington Bear came from, if I understand correctly. Oh, sweet Jesus! And this is where the showdown occurs with the snake, and there's only a few.
You're
people
heavy
left.
lifting from this point because we already blazed through all my notes. I got nothing more to say about this unless you've got some secret message scrawled on the wall in the jungle.
The last thing I wanted to say is that the snake has been silent the entire movie, or the snakes, I guess. When they get to the factory, more than once you hear the snake go. "Roar!" We're like,
So ridiculous. They're like, we need more snake sounds. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you could jump up and down on a snake and no sound is coming out. 'Cause they don't have vocal cords. The only sound the snake is going to make is the sound it makes when it hits the wall when you throw it.
Yeah, it is the. And what's funny?
It's like half crow or something. This is some cryptozoology thing going on now.
They literally hired like a voiceover actor who primarily did children's cartoons to do the snake voice.
Why didn't it go Squirtle, Squirtle?
Squirtle, Squirtle, Squirtle. Sweet Jesus. That is all I got. Shall we go to behind the scenes?
Please tell me how J-Lo and Ice Cube got it on through the whole movie.
I will not be telling you that, although it might be true. Who's to say?
It might be more interesting.
It might be. Let's see. So you may have noticed, because it's hard to miss, half the time there is horrendous CGI for the Anaconda. Like this was after Jurassic Park, but Jurassic Park quality costs a lot of money. So they were doing kind of low budget
there were
CGI.
actual glitches that are visible to the eye, and I've never seen this before. So it's not like this is the third time I watched it, and now all of a sudden I noticed it. There are some visible glitches.
Oh yeah, no question. It was either horrible CGI or a horrible animatronic Anaconda, and I guess at one point it shorted out and went out of control, and they kept it in the movie. They're like, "Sounds good." We love it.
We like the real fear in the actor's eyes.
The Amazonian film shoot was occasionally disrupted by the fact that several cast members are deathly afraid of snakes.
Oh, interesting. Something to consider. I mean, hello. I'm doing a film about snakes. It must not be Ice Cube because he was on Snakes on a Plane.
Yes. He was
that the trip home? Tell me that's part 2.
Okay, first of all, Ice Cube not in Snakes on a Plane. That's Samuel L. Jackson. But thank you very much, you racist. Let's see. The CGI for the Anacondas, as lousy as it was, still cost $100,000 per second.
Oh my God.
Horrendous.
I really should have got into computer graphics.
You should have. In the theatrical trailer, when the Anaconda attacks Gary, that's Owen Wilson, the CGI had not been put in yet, so he was flailing around by himself. Very much like that scene.
That's beautiful. In Ed Wood?
In Ed Wood, where it's basically, Bela, grab the tentacles of the octopus and just wrap them around you and scream a little bit. That's basically what he was doing.
Ed Wood is genius. Ed Wood is genius.
Dynamite. This film was listed among the 100 most enjoyably bad movies ever made in the Golden Raspberry book. So there you go.
I mean, it's all right. It's not offensive. It wasn't that exactly riveting, but
it is riveting.
I will say it's better than the last movie we reviewed.
Okay, that's something to be said. Ice Cube's first line of dialogue is "Today is a good day," which is a reference to his 1992 hit, "It Was a Good Day." I didn't have to use my AK.
There we go.
There it is.
Well, he wishes he had his AK, as it turns out.
You mean there are snakes bigger than this out there? Okay. Gillian Anderson.
What was Ice Cube's job? What was he?
He was the cameraman.
Videographer?
He was the cameraman. Yes.
Do you think it's racist that in all these movies, their idea of adding diversity is to have a black cameraman in all these movies?
Yes, I do. To answer your question.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, you had Eric Stoltz was basically the writer of the documentary. Okay.
All right.
Then you had writer slash director. I'm messing it up. Writer slash producer. J-Lo was the director. Ice Cube was the cameraman. Owen Wilson was the sound man. Kari Wurr was the production manager. Then there was a British actor who was like your Marlon Perkins type. Is basically how it worked. He was like the host.
Okay.
So there you go.
He goes out and pets the indigenous people or the anacondas.
Right. Well, it's kind of like, they just hire, the actor to stand in front of the camera and be the narrator.
Actor slash narrator voiceover. But because Marlon would get out there. Nobody knows who Marlon Perkins is. But Marlon would get out there a little bit. Then there was Jim. Jim was wrestling the anacondas. Marlon would point out to it, here it is. And then Jim would be flailing in a mud hole.
Marlon Perkins was 80 years old when he was on Wild Kingdom, by the way. So
Marlon Perkins, I think, was 80 years old when he was 20 years old.
Very upsetting.
I just assume he hatched from the egg as a shriveled old man. Not even Benjamin Buttons. It was just born old, stayed old.
That's correct. It was Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. Back when they would literally have the name of the sponsor as part of the title. That's how they did it. So, Gillian Anderson and Juliana Margulies both turned down the role of Terry Flores that eventually went to J-Lo.
Well, considering some of the things they did later on, I can't understand why they turned it down.
Exactly, right?
They both did. They're like, damn, I should have been on Anaconda, so I'm going to sign up for a lesser version later on.
That's right. Strong language was dubbed, for example, using freaking instead of another word in order to get a PG-13 rating.
Notice.
Yeah. They really
didn't even notice.
Because that's the thing about this movie. It's PG-13, which tells you really there's no nudity. The violence is not that outrageous. And there's no bad language really at all.
The snake twisted off somebody's head like it was opening toothpaste.
But you didn't see it really.
I see.
So there you go.
There was little blood for having your head removed. I will say that.
There was no here's a head rolling by. So
wasn't there?
No.
Oh no, maybe I'm confusing it. Now in my mind it's Jason Lives versus the Anaconda. That might have been more interesting.
We talked about this. Just after Cerrone falls in the water and the character goes back to bed having saved the day, the boat moves off the rocks as the waterfall goes backwards. So, good times.
Yes. Oh my God, I have this vision. What if this is the crossover Anaconda versus Freddy?
Oh Jesus.
Or not Freddy, Jason. So they have Jason like in a block of concrete, and they're going to take him to Antarctica. So he'll never be able to leave, and he'll never trouble anyone. But the plane crashes in the Amazon, and now I don't know. Jason is loose killing the Yanomano. So now they have to send forces in to capture Jason. And here we go. Now we have giant anacondas.
Lovely. Should
I be taking notes? Jason fighting an anaconda, where the anaconda swallows him, and he just machetes his way out.
Lovely.
I am going to work in a mix-up here between Jason and every movie that we watch in the future.
Do you mean a mashup? Not a mix-up? You're mixed up.
Oh, it's a mix-up.
So, Sean Connery, Tommy Lee Jones, John Malkovich, and Jean Reno turned down the role of Paul Cerrone. They all said,
Reno. I love Jean Reno. And what an awesome, sexy name is that. God damn you, Frenchie.
I mean, they'd all be better, but would they be as hilariously offensive? That's the question.
Sean Connery, could he be offensive? Come on. J-Lo, I'll smack you in your woman mouth if you back-talk me again.
This liver can kill you in 1,000 ways. There you go.
Oh, beautiful. It could be Sean Connery. It could be Quint from Jaws, all on a boat ride with J-Lo.
Why not?
And Ice Cube and Ice-T. Let's have all our ices in there.
They strike, wrap around you, hold you tighter than your true love, and you get the privilege of hearing your bones break before the power of embrace causes your veins to explode.
Oh my God. I could almost imagine Walken saying that. We've recast the movie.
They strike. Okay. I think that's about it. Good Lord. Oh, they used the blood of monkeys to try to entice the anacondas to get a little closer. And it was
chum the waters.
They're chumming it. They used jelly and plum juice for monkey blood. So good times.
And what did they use for? He just happened to have a sack of human bone powder just for seasoning broth, or what is that?
It's right next to
I grind your bones to make my bread.
He keeps it with his bag of wasps, evidently. So good times. Let's talk about the cast, shall we? Which we've been doing the whole time. J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez, famously for Geely, The Cell, Selena.
She's solid B movie acting.
No question.
I'll say that.
Ice Cube, you remember him obviously as a rapper, but also from Friday, Boys in the Hood.
I think we have untapped potential, and I think Ice Cube needs to stretch because I think he could do better acting than what he's doing.
He's really quite good these days.
He's quite good.
Yes.
I would agree with that, but I don't think he's stretching his abilities. I think he can do more.
Like Shakespeare, or what are you looking for?
Shakespeare,
Chekhov,
Richard III.
There you go. John Voight, you know him from Midnight Cowboy. Anaconda is the second one on the list. Runaway Train.
Everybody's talking about me.
Deliverance.
The ones that say, yeah, who gives a shit?
Eric Stoltz. Pulp Fiction, Mask.
He's rocking his best Clay Aikens.
And I watched this thing on Netflix talking about how he was originally cast in Back to the Future. And they literally filmed 6 weeks with Eric Stoltz as Marty McFly. And they're like, we have to recast him. We got to get rid of him. Not because he was bad, but because this is a comedy. And he didn't deliver any of the comedy. It was always very kind of dour and sad. Like they talked about how at the end of Back to the Future, if you remember, he comes back to
he could be the Marty. He could have been Marty McFly. But I love Christian Slater.
Okay, Christian Slater's not in Back to the Future.
Who is it? Crispin Glover.
Crispin Glover is in Back to the Future. Good Lord.
I love him too.
But at the end of Back to the Future, Marty goes back and discovers like now his whole life is totally different. His parents are wealthy and attractive. Everything's good. Biff has been, now it's like washing his dad's car, blah, blah, blah. When they did the table read, everybody was cheering and laughing. Eric Stoltz had a dour expression because he's just like, this is like a horror movie. Because it's like he goes back to his time, but it's not really his time. He hasn't experienced everything that took up. So for the rest of his life, he has to pretend to be this Marty. That's Eric Stoltz's interpretation. So they fired his butt and brought in Michael J. Fox, who was busy doing Family Ties, so he could only film at night. So they had to go back. So if you watch it, there are scenes where it's clearly like the actors reacting to Eric Stoltz, and then they cut in Michael J. Fox. So like some of the scenes they didn't reshoot from the other person's point of view. So
I mean, Michael J. Fox is great. He
is great.
He's got all that tiny man energy.
Oh, poor Michael J. Fox. Owen Wilson. You know him from the Royal Tenenbaums, Wedding Crashers, Bottle Rocket.
Every Wes Anderson movie in the world.
Yep.
And that terrible, that Jackie Chan mix-up. Oh,
Shanghai Noon.
Poor Jackie Chan.
Again, not a mix-up.
No, I mean it's a mix-up because whenever they make Jackie Chan the sidekick, it's Lesser Chan. You need Jackie Chan as the star. He's the star.
Did you say
so? You delude him whenever you make him the sidekick.
It's Lesser Chan. Interesting.
It's Lesser Chan.
Let's talk about 100%. The rating. Are you ready?
Yes.
Rotten Tomatoes gives Anaconda a 37% rotten.
Interesting. And what did they give Jason Lives? Like a 46, almost a 50?
100%. 100%.
Wait, not 100%.
No.
You mean you agree with me 100%?
Either one. Roger Ebert talking about Anaconda. Score 3.5 out of 4. It's a slick, scary, funny creature feature, beautifully photographed and splendidly acted in high adventure style. Boom!
Oh, that probably was when he was dying or something that he came up with such a review.
How dare you, first of all.
Sad. Poor Roger.
You're sad.
Roger Ebert and I used to be like this. Gene Siskel was a wild card, but Roger Ebert and I almost always agreed. Not anymore.
That was it? That's the last nail in the coffin.
We've broken up.
What do you give Anaconda? Which, by the way, had 2 sequels. 2 sequels. Good time.
I am giving Anaconda 2 out of 5 Pussy John Voight's. Yeah, that's all I need to say.
You are out of your GD mind.
Regurgitated John Voight's. 2 out of 5 regurgitated John Voight's.
Wrong.
Boom.
Wrong. This is easily 4 out of 5 John Voight partially digested winking at you. That's what it is.
Oh my God.
4 out of 5.
You're rating it basically the same as The Godfather. Is that what I just heard?
This is Godfather of the Amazon. I've heard it said multiple times. Sweet Jesus. Look, it ain't Shakespeare, as I've often said. It's fun, though. It's fun. John Voight.
That's why I gave it 2.
2 out of 5. That's you get kicked out of class for these grades. Very sad. No, John Voight is hilarious. His whole performance is so ridiculous that you have to enjoy it. You have to let it just wash over you. Again, he's the villain. The snakes, if they were just, videotaping the Shuishama, the people of the mist, they wouldn't have any problems. It's because old crazy John Voight causes the problems. So there you go.
Okay, John Voight's causing the problems. How come no one reacted when there's clearly like this gated area with warnings? No one reacted to that. And why do you need explosives to blow up a wood fence?
Well, this is a good question. I actually wrote this down.
What's up with that?
They literally somehow their houseboat is filled with explosives, and they got crazy old Owen Wilson, the sound guy, who's evidently a demolitions expert. He's the one planting the dynamite.
Right. So why are they traveling the Amazon with giant cans of gasoline and TNT?
Well, you need gas to make the boat go. I get that.
And do I wedge the TNT around it to keep the barrels of gasoline from rolling off? What's that? It seems like Cal OSHA might have a problem with that.
Well, at one point, like a couple of the barrels roll off during a Anaconda attack, and they're like, "Oh, damn, we don't have enough gas to do X, Y, and Z." It's like, what? You can't just get the barrels out of the water? What happened?
Floating.
Right.
They're floating.
Aren't they just right there? No can do? Okay. Good to know.
Why don't I throw dynamite at it to bring it closer to the boat?
Why not indeed?
It'll cause a wave, and the wave will move it to the boat.
That is correct. Next week, we're going to be doing the science fiction horror classic, The Happening, starring Mark Wahlberg, etc., etc.
What's a buzz? Tell me what's a happening. What's a buzz? Tell me what's a happening.
Is this the first M. Night Shyamalan movie we've done on the show? It might be.
It may be, my friend. We could do like months of. There's so much to mock in a good M. Night Shyamalan.
That's right. So
what's the new one? Isn't there a new one? What happened to that?
Old.
Did it already go straight to the theater and then straight into the trash can? I've heard nothing in weeks.
It came out a week or two ago, and people are not happy about it. Let's just say that.
Don't tell me. Don't.
In typical Shyamalan fashion.
I like Shyamalan to disappoint me in the first 30 minutes, so I don't take that away from me.
As long as you accept that there will be a twist that will destroy the rest of the movie, then you'll enjoy the movie. Is basically the moral of the story.
Has no one said, "Hey, M, how about we get you know what the twist would be? No twist. How about that?
How about that?
Everybody's waiting for the twist, but then there's no twist.
Right.
We'll really get them then.
The lack of a twist is the twist.
Exactly.
So you can watch The Happening on Peacock with ads, I'm sorry to say, for free. Just download the app. You can watch it. If you want to pay for it.
Apps do I have to have on my TV?
Infinite.
There's so many bizarro channels now. It's Fubo, not Fubu.
Fubu.
Peacock. Why can't they just say it's the NBC channel?
They're trying to mix it up.
Peacock. Whatever.
So anyway, or you could pay $3.99 at Amazon or whatever, YouTube. Good times. So thank you very much. Go to our page on I just lost my train of thought. Go to our page on Twitter at T-Podcast, TW Die. Go to our page on Facebook at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die. Aaron, we're on Instagram.
We are the _podcast _ that _ wouldn't _ die on the IG.
So check
Drop
that
us a
out.
line, kids.
Won't you? You can email us at thepodcastthatwouldn't.die at gmail.
That's one word.
One word, no punctuation.
And you can hit me up I'm on the Twitter, the Cult of Aaron. I'm on the IG, Cult of Aaron _ friend. Always underscores.
The dark web. You can always find Aaron cruising the dark
I'm
web.
on 4chan, 6chan, 8chan, all your chans. Jackie Chan.
Except in Shanghai Noon, evidently.
Apparently not.
So, oh, good Lord. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, and most importantly, 5-star review. Hook us up, brother.
5-star review.
You know what I'm saying?
Your homework today is to go and take your friends' phones and rate us. Give them back their phone, but demand the password.
Demand it.
So just demand it. A 5-star review.
That's
Kevin
correct.
and Aaron, the best brother and sister team. Hey, and we're number 40 in Australia.
You can't beat that. It's a real country and everything.
We need to tour Australia.
We
Is there a pod celebration tour that we could go after the Delta variant clears out the deadwood?
Not a free one. So sad to say. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So there you go. So
not SoundCloud. Why are we not on SoundCloud?
Feel free to explore that, Aaron. I turn it over to you. So there you have it, and be well.
Later, skaters. Don't be an asshole and go to your school board and threaten to sue if your child has to